All right, it's time to start our work session. It's 5 o'clock. I have Miss Cindy Baresh Bryant with us from HR Solutions. If you remember, the board hired her to look into our current pay scale and advise us on some things that we need to do. So I have worked closely with Miss Bryant. She has came to town a couple of times. She's talked to not all the employees, but most of the all the supervisors and some other employees as well. So Miss Cindy, Miss Cindy's gone.
Sure did.
Oh, there she's back.
Sorry, Curtis, I froze.
Okay, all right. Did you hear anything I said?
I heard, this is Miss Cindy Bear's front, and about that time I went away.
Okay, so I was just reminding the board that we had hired you to do a wage study for the city of Livingston, and that you had met with all the supervisors and some of the employees, and you was going to bring us back some things and just see if the board had any questions and before we got into the budget meeting. Okay?
Absolutely. So, Curtis, I believe you have a packet there for them with what we are recommending, is that right?
That's right. Now I don't know that I have every attachment that you sent, but what I do have is the positions, basically the title page that tells the minimum, maximum of the positions. I also have the
Step pages.
I do have. Yes, that's right. So I'll let you talk about those things if you need to, if you want to.
I'll be happy to. So, just so everybody knows, Curtis and I have worked very hard on this. We have stayed with the original 4% increase that we recommended back, oh my goodness, first couple months ago when we talked to everybody.
Right.
So what we have done is we took all of your current employees and what their current pay is, and we were going to award them a 4% increase. And the way we position them in their steps were we put them at the step closest to, but not less than, a 4% increase. So for some employees, for example, if the step closest to a 4% was at 4.5%, but the step below that was at 3%, then we would put them at 4.5, because we put them in the step closest to where a 4% increase would make their pay, but not less than 4%. And so on the sheets that you have, we have designed and dedicated steps, and those steps are usually 2.5 or 3% each year. So what we wanted to do is get them into the steps this year. So your employees, we broke it, if you'll remember, into 3 tables. Your administrative professionals include things like your tax clerk, your financial manager, your supervisors, folks like that. Any of your clerical staff goes on the AP or administrative professional table. Your emergency services employees go on the ES or emergency services table. And your trades and labor, which includes things like your diesel mechanics, your sanitation, your street workers. Let's see, what else goes on your trades and labor, your drivers. All of these types of positions are on trades and labor. And so on those, positions, you might have someone on, TL for trades and labor, whatever pay grade it is, and for those we set up 8 pay grades. So based on the wage survey, they would be placed in either the administrative professional table, the emergency services table, or the trades and labor table in the grade that was commensurate with the wage survey for their position. And then, as I mentioned, we put them in the step closest to a 4%, closest to but not less than 4%, in order to get us into this budget. And Phyllis has worked her magic with that, for the recommendation for the budget. So hopefully I explained that well. If it is clear as mud, please let me know, and we'll be glad to answer any questions.
Is some gonna get 4.5?
Can you push your button, please, so she can hear you? Thank you.
Is some gonna get 4.5 and some 4?
That is possible, yes, because like I said, our goal was to put them in the table.
Are you wanting to share the screen too?
I don't have to,
Okay.
although if you have it there, we could.
Does that answer your question? I mean, I think your question is everybody getting a 4% raise across the board? The answer is no.
But everyone's getting at least 4.
Everybody's getting at least 4, and it just depends on where you are at salary-wise. You're not going to get less, and you're going to go to the level. So it could take you to, thank you, Beth. It could take you to 4.1% or 4.2, 4.3. I mean, it could.
Could be a 4-point odd.
It could be a 4-point odd something.
That's right. And like I said, that'll get them into your grades and your step. And then next increase time comes up. So if I go back to Amy here, Amy is a clerk, but she's a clerk on the emergency services because she may be, and Curtis, correct me if I'm wrong, I've got clerk on here, but my guess is that clerk may be a records keeper for the emergency services.
Secretary, clerk, I mean, that's about.
Yeah. So she's at step 10 this year, which as I said is 1911. Next year, when it comes around time for pay increases, you already know, as long as she's performing well, she's going to go to step 11 at 1959, okay? And that is a 2.5% increase next year. So from here on out, every year, you already have the pay tables, you have the grades. If Amy were to take another job and get promoted to an ES5 level position, for example, then, we have put in place policies of how she gets awarded that new position and what step in a grade 5 she would go.
So, Ms. Bryant, in this, if you're getting, let's just say you're getting over the 4%, you're getting 4.3%, the next year it catches up with itself, correct?
Yes, well, because everybody's been in the next step. Correct.
So if you're getting a little bit more this year, you can pretty much count on you're going to get less next year when everybody else kind of catches up with you.
Still getting an increase, but it's a smaller
that's
increase
right.
than everyone else.
Right, it kind of catches up, catches up the cycle.
Correct.
Okay.
Because once we get everybody into the steps, then everybody stays with the next step, whatever that is, whether it's a 2.5% or a 3%, everybody stays with whatever the step is. But this gives you the clarity for your budget and you have that continuity from year to year.
I love to see these hourly increases and things of that nature as to what they make, but I come from old school, I guess, and when I see what I'm looking at right here, I want to see what they make. Do they make $35,000 annually? Do they make $40,000 annually? And I'm not going to sit here and do the math right now and figure out what they make, but I'd like to see what the heck their annual salary is. I guess that would that work, or is that something I'm just missing here? Is it because of the hour, because they work different hours? Is that?
And I think in fairness to Ms. Bryant, there was a lot of information on there, and we took some out. But getting the yearly annual salary is easy. I mean, it's not. Yeah.
Well, I know. I
Yeah.
do the math.
I could. Yeah. We can hand that out the next time. That ain't no problem.
Yeah, we can absolutely have that. We are for employees that are not.
Thank you very much. That would be very handy, I think, yes.
And also, we will have the levels, as Ms. Bryan is talking about. Every position will have a level going from level 1 to level 30. 30 would be the years of retirement, so.
Is this based on like a 40-hour week too? I mean, is that what they usually
Yeah.
work?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
I've got another question. Just take, for instance, a tax clerk. Say this individual get 4.2% this year. And that got them to the max. Just saying, okay? Then next year, no, let me back up. Say they'd like $6,000 been to the max, and you're giving them 4.2 this year, but then you raise that max, say another 10,000. I know that's far-fetched. But then next year, we was talking a while ago, they wouldn't get but 2.5%. When are they going to get caught back up or topped out or?
So, Ms. Bryant, you want to answer it or you want me to?
Sure, I'd be glad to. So if the top of the grade moves and gives them more leeway to get increases, because once they're at the maximum, we recommend that if you want to give them additional pay,
And I've got the budget right here. The question is, what is it going to cost? I put 4%. in the budget currently right now, but I wanted to have this work session first.
list it later.
Well, and of course, just keep in mind, that, you know, you're gonna have, we have the general fund, gas, water, sewer, blah, blah, blah. Of course, the general fund
Is the one that gets hit.
is the one that is the one that gets hammered. You got your public safety, you got parks, sanitation, as the late great Bill Winningham would say, your necessary evils, are coming out of, the general fund. So that is the one that is taking the hit. And I'll be able to give you that number.
That's fine.
Yeah.
How long has it been since that we've had a raise? And how much has the raise been? See, I'm new here, so I'm asking these questions because I don't know.
So we had a step raise, and some got, in our last pay scale, it was just different, kind of like, MTS gave us a pay scale. It was Alliday. When these salaries across the country and, started just going up, we decided to, have a study done. That's where Miss HR Solutions has came in.
Like, nobody got anything last year?
Oh, yeah.
So they did, okay, that's what I'm asking.
There could have been folks that got a 35-cent raise, a 17-cent raise, it's all in that
And what
pay
percentage
scale.
would that be when it comes right down to it?
Nobody got over a 3.5% increase.
Annually,
Yes,
every year?
that's right.
Okay.
This is a 4%, and what it does, and again, HR Solutions, Ms. Bryant, her company has did the research and showed where we was at. And to be quite honest with you, I started a lot higher than that. I wanted to see that our pay is comparable with other cities our size and other departments. And the biggest issue where we are having major turnover is in public safety. That is in police. And for our numbers to get up there to where they are, and I think that 4%, some would argue that's not enough, but that's what we could afford. And it's still, I think, somewhat competitive, given the fact of all the other things that go with the pay. But it's in a step in the right direction, certainly. The 4% increase helps not only in trying to get, and this is a sliding scale. So if you had an employee that wanted to come for the city of Livingston that's got 10 years of experience in this field, and they would go to that level. We're not starting new employees at level 1 because you can't get any employees at level 1, especially if they got 10 or 15 years of experience. So that's what this pay scale does as well.
Miss Cindy, I got 2 questions actually. Can
Yes,
you
sir.
reshare the table with all the steps on it? I think the last time we talked, it only had maybe 12 steps in that packet.
Yes, that's right. And then we kind of played around with, for lack of a better word, doing 15 years, and then Curtis asked us to spread it out to 30. So what we did was we just took that same 3% or 2.5%, whichever the case was, and we just moved it for 15 additional years. So, but yes, I'm happy to share that with you.
Perfect. And then the other question I had was on Mr. Christian Mansell. So everybody else has a starting step. He does not. Is there a reason for that?
Okay, hold on just a second. Who did you say you wrote that?
Christian Mansell.
Okay. Oh, gotcha. Okay, so now let me think.
Not Christian,
Joel
yeah.
is, okay, the CMFO, okay.
Yes.
So that one is one.
He is the building inspector and codes enforcement officer. That's his title.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. He's
He's
at,
currently at 2956.
So did you say EX10 or AP10? Got it. Thank you.
And.
Thank you. All right, is there any more questions for Ms. Bryant? So I do have a question. How often, Ms. Bryant, do you think that we should be looking at a pay study for employees? It's been about 5, 6 years since the last one, 7?
No, it's probably been 5. I've only been here.
Okay.
6.
So it's probably been 5 or 6 years, and this one was outdated within 2, probably, given the fact that, when's the last time that you've seen salaries increase the way that they have now?
I haven't seen so.
Any more questions for Ms. Bryant? So what we will do, we are fixing the full packet that you'll have with you, and it will tell, for instance, a gas department labor will go, and then, the heavy equipment operator, the assistant foreman, and welder. It will take you step one, or year one through year 30, on what the increase would be. And listening to Ms. Bryant, just kind of keep her finger on the pulse. But I'd say in 5 or 6 years, it'd be time to do one again. I was guessing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Right. So, okay, any other questions for Ms. Bryant? Thank you very much, and I'll be reaching out to you to put the final touches on it, and I can get that to the board, and we'll go from there, okay?
That'll be fine. If you think of any other questions you have, then feel free to reach out anytime.
All right, thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank y'all.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye. All right, let's call the meeting to order here on the budget meeting. Before we get started, paperwork in order here. So this is a budget meeting, and also Joel's here with us today to be going over some of the amendments that we'll need to do tonight as well. So I know that most folks always gets asked, how much does the penny actually bring in? The penny brings in $9,640 to the city of Livingston. $9,640. That's what the net penny brings in. So this budget is a very, very lean budget. It took us a while to get it. My apologies and Joel's apologies for not getting it to you a lot sooner as we normally do, but like I said, this time took some time. So a couple of things that I want to go over before we actually get in the budget. To answer your question, Alderman Linder, $87,000 in the general fund is the 4% pay increase for employees. Approximately $50,000 in gas, approximately about $70,000 in water. That's what the 4% increase will cost, and that is what I have got in the budget at 4%. Like I said, I started with double that amount in that, and we just could not sustain it and just could not afford it. After looking at the general fund, and we know that it always takes a hard hit. We're looking at 11. We've looked at a 11-cent property tax increase. With that number being said, that'd bring in an additional $106,040 to the general fund. As you know, the majority of the general fund increase is due to pay for employees that will get the 4% employee increase across the board, as recommended by Ms. Cindy Bryan, HR Solutions, that we hired to do a wage study. I've got no new hires in for the 23-24 fiscal year budget in the general fund. No capital projects coming out of the general fund, including paving or any building project, and we're going to talk about that as we get just a little bit deeper into the budget. Starting on page 1, we're just taking a look at the revenues that we have got. You can see with the increase to propose is $1,732,600. That is with the 11-cent increase that will take the total revenues at $3.6 million in the general fund alone. We're looking at a increase midway down. If you go to all the way to the left in the second column, if you go down to the increase of about $20,000, and we think that's probably a conservative number. On the hotel motel tax, we jumped up to about $20,000, given the fact that we passed that ordinance where the Airbnbs will be taxed, and we'll be getting a little money out of that as well. There's really no other major significant increase in the revenues. Our goal is through attrition as well as employees, and I had a supervisors meeting this morning, and I said, hang on to your employees because they probably won't be replaced, and you've got one here that can vouch for me on that. And that's not a popular decision with employees, by the way. Going on over to page 2, you have nothing significant there. Again, you can see where the salary and wages has came up a little bit. You can see in 21, 22 actuals, actually it just went up about $6,650. You can see where we was at 21, 22 compared to where we are at today, and those are salaries. So again, the way the process works is you will have ample time to go over this. There will be a second reading. There will be a public hearing first, and then we'll have the second reading. So if there is questions that comes up, you can certainly reach out, or you can certainly ask at that time as well. Public safety on page 3. This is a concern that I think that all of us at the end of the day should have. This is the concern that I have to talk about it just a little bit. When I was talking about capital projects, we are literally busting at the seam over at the public safety building. We're crowded. We are overdue a capital building project. I checked with a local, I got with Chief Dow, I got with Chief Smith, and asked, what can we do basically to Band-Aid this until we can see better days? And so a local contractor came, and what we wanted to do was to put on another bay for the fire department. Also, that would be on one side of the building. If you're facing the public safety building, that would be to the right side. I think you all are familiar where the fire trucks are, so it would be on the right side. You'd add another bay to that. Going on the other side, we have room to extend that to have a courtroom, as you are familiar with it now. Right now, we're not having city court in our building. Currently, we are using the Justice Center. Now, at this time, it's at no cost, but because of the good relationship that this administration has, the chiefs has, the former chiefs had with the sheriff, they have been gracious enough to let us use that building. Now, for how long? That's a question mark. But the next part of that, on the left side of that, we was going to have a small courtroom. There was going to be some office space, some restrooms, to kind of relieve some of the areas in there that is just way too small, just way too small. We have got firemen, men and female firemen, and that all has to have sleeping quarters. This was going to give up some of the office space that is currently used by the LPD to have some small living quarters in there. It would have helped us tremendously. I sent out an immunization note out to Tennessee Municipal Bond Fund, where we normally is the lowest rate where you can borrow money, because, and I just started at $1 million. It came back irrelevant because $1 million wouldn't touch it. $2.5 million is what the local contractor said it would cost to add on the fire bay, to add on extend the building out for a small courtroom and a couple of offices. So we scratched that project. So right now, I've told the chief and both chiefs that we're going to have to just kind of work on what we got, and hopefully, as things clear up a little bit financially, We hope that we can get more sales tax revenue from the retail coach. And hopefully we can land something, and that's where we are at. We can't continue to hit the property taxpayers for extra revenue. Sales tax is the tax that everyone pays when they come into Livingston, me and you and anybody else that comes in for tourism. So that's where we are at with the public safety building. We need one. We need one in a very, very bad way. We don't have any property to say, and obviously I have not had any plans, but telling you that the $2.5 million just for the renovation, you can do that about probably tenfold, and that's where you're realistically at. To get us where we need to be and also build for the next 10 years where we won't have this problem. We're just out of room. We're just simply out of room. So no new employees in the general fund. We ain't got nowhere to put them. We ain't got nowhere to put any more firemen. We don't have any more room to put any more policemen. So those are the concerns that I have with moving forward and looking at, and everyone has, might not have a copy of it right now, but if you look at your audit report, under the general obligation, we will be seeing some signs of relief in the next 3 years. That's 3 years down the road. I know that's in no hurry, but and you probably don't have that in front of you, Bruce. I'll get a copy of that. Phyllis, can you go ahead and make a copy of this, please? Have you got this? This tells you the. You've got some paving coming off. You got the park coming off, and then another capital outlay coming off as well. So there's going to be roughly about $800 to $1 million a year coming off the books. That's with no new capital projects coming off starting today or this fiscal year, which will be 23-24, and none coming in more than likely 24-25. Now again, make sure that we understand I'm talking about general fund. I am not talking about water, and I'm not talking about gas, and I am not talking about sewer. You can take a look at the salaries there where we was at on top of page 3. In 21-22 went 775,000, almost 776,000 to where we're proposing at about $907,000. As I said, the penny only brings in $9,640. We're getting $106,000, and you can see where the bulk of the money is going. And it's just business. I love the police. I love the fire. We all need them, but the general fund is just where we get hit the most. No significant purchases that we have got. You can go down the line item there, but those are to maintain and have the maintenance. Thank you, Phyllis. Those are just to maintain and keep things going and operation, but that's where we are. Same way with the fire department. You can see the major jump If you look at the actuals of 21, 22 at $315,479 to a proposed budget of $428,000.
Curtis, as far as the population is concerned, what, have we grown in our population over the last 10 years?
Well, our census says no. So our census says we're actually down a couple of hundred.
Is our traffic pattern more because of where they're coming from, I guess, I-75 to through here, through where Highway 90 and 111's come in? I guess that's
There's no question there is more traffic here now than there has been in any of the years. There's at times, and Chief Smith's here, at times there could be about 25,000 people in the city limits of Livingston. We are also, of course, we got a couple of schools that we're providing SROs for, and hopefully the Board of Education is going to help us out a little bit there. And we're also doing a little work over at the hospital, which pays for itself. So, but to answer your question, as far as residents are concerned, the census says we're down just a little bit. But as far as the traffic study shows, when they laid the little black lines down West Main and East Main, we're up significant, about 30%. And that may very well be because of what you said about the traffic coming from, what'd you say, 75?
75 to I-40.
Yeah.
And the improvement of the roads between here and there, yeah, we down. I see it in Burstown every day.
Right.
So, one other question. This retail coach, have they brought us anything?
No, they haven't yet. They brought us a lot of data, but no, there's not been any brick and mortar, and that's what we have discussed significantly every time he's been here. In fact, he will be in front of the council, I think, in August. So, I mean, on page 6, Miss Maynard, Amanda Maynard, has been here for the grassroots planning and the grants that we have talked about, and she has talked about. There you go there, with that revenues being $500,000 grant that folks in Livingston is either going to have some improvements or get a new home. So as far as fines and costs out of the drug fund, we keep that revenue low because we never know. I mean, we just never know if we're going to get a big bust or not get a big bust. Mixed reviews on whether that's what you want or not, honestly, in your community. So that this comes out to about $8,000 in revenue. Hope there's more. The Industrial Development Fund, which is designed to help out businesses that could possibly be in need or relocate, and that's not all hard cash there. That's some assets and things like that. Joel, you want to talk about the general debt services? Page 9.
Page 9 is pretty much almost carved in stone. The only aspect that we have to play with is the determination of how much sales tax there is going to be received during 2020, well, each year. In the far left column, you're going to see actual. It's not officially actual yet. The audit has not yet been done or completed. It's on the threshold of being completed. I apologize right now. My part in that, getting it to the auditor later than normal, combined with the auditor not having worked with the city before, is taking longer. But it's on the threshold of being done. So the actual figures that you're showing is not expected to change, but throughout the entire budget paper that you've got, there will be some changes, but I think we've accounted for those. On the projected column, although the actual column says 447, we'd like to be a little bit more conservative, so we went with 430,000. Ideally, we'd like to see that 450,000 to give us 20,000 more playroom. As it is, we've budgeted, or we've projected a positive net income of 5,651. The proposed column is what the mayor has put together. He's come up with 430,000, also a little bit conservative, we hope. But the expenditures are pretty well carved in stone. That's what the requirements are that we have to meet each for the next year. Interest and penalty is what it is. We don't expect to have to bring any money in from general like we have in the past. I think we've only done that once in the last few years. So it should stand on its own plus a little bit. Plus it has a nice balance of 400,000 to fall back on. Do you want me to talk anything else while I'm up here?
That's it for
Okay.
Thank you, Joel. Fix this, Joel, for me. You sleep thought. All right, somebody's ringing. So to back up just a little bit, I forgot I had Ms. Phyllis to do this page, and it a page that talks about the appraised value of your property and what the increase would do. It's a page that looks just like this. You should have one. It tells you there that on assessed value at 25% residential rate, that if your property was appraised at 50,000, 100,000, 150,000, 200,000, or 250,000. So starting at the first one, it would $13.75 a year at 50,000. Not that I'm saying this for the general public, not that I need to read to you all, but for 100,000 appraised value is $27.50, 150,000 is $41.25, 200,000 is $55, 250,000 is $68.75 a year. That's the extra a year that it would come. It would take the tax rate from $1.60 to $1.71. So our tax rate would move to $1.71. Over in the water, due to some projects that we have coming up, there will be a 5%, I've added a 5% water rate increase across the board for the projects that we have. Obviously, we've got, there's always some uncertainty down at Butler's Landing, and we always put about $400,000 in the budget for that in the event that the raw water intake goes down. But you can
That's in the city, right? 5%.
go across the board, all water customers. No, that's okay. You got another question? No. Okay. So that'll take the revenues at $5,138,900. The equipment, anything significant, you can see the increase again on salaries. where we was at 21, 22 versus to where we're at now. 21, 22 is at 620, and now you're proposing at about 750. So you can see that we are trying our best to keep retention of our employees, and also trying to attract some as well as some start to retire. In that column, you can see that the water leak relief folks in the revenue side brought in $160,000 of revenue to the city of Livingston, which is a good shot in the arm for us. At the bottom of the page, you can see where the equipment repair is, and that's under the water plant. If you go all the way in the left side column, going all the way down almost, or at the very end where it says equipment repair, there's your $400,000, big difference, $400,000 budget item that is proposed. Now, realistically, we probably won't use $400,000, but we could. And a lot of times we have a pump that goes down. Nothing down there is cheap to fix, because everything's going to take a crane to get down there to it. And then you got these pumps. Most of you have been down at the water, or at the raw water intake. Ken, you've been down there? Yes. Yeah, I thought you. Wasn't for sure. And if you haven't been down there, please let me know. I'd like to take you down there and show you the operations that we got. It's something significant. Yeah, that we're pumping water 19 miles uphill to about 12 miles uphill to Hillham, then gravity flow into Livingston. Water goes in a surge tank and then flows in. It's a 20-inch ductile iron line going across country, crossing several creeks. Very complicated project, and you can see that we've got the project here on the wall. But that's where that is. Going over to page 11 at the water plant, continuing on, nothing significant there. No numbers there is going to jump out on you. We do have some equipment repair at the sewer plant that we're going to have to take care of. Just continuing maintenance that you have to do, and if you don't, you can end up in trouble. Those things are in the budget. Going to page 12, natural gas. No increase with gas. Of course, we never know. Alan, that comes in from Symmetry Gas, you're just kind of rolling the dice at the end of the day. But the way that we bill, we should never be able to go in the hole. And I'm not saying by raising rates, which is just a formula that we use that takes the numbers from the city gate to the amount of the invoice that we pay, that tells us exactly what we're paying for natural gas. And it fluctuates, as gasoline does. Again, not to draw attention to the salaries, but you can see where we was at, 355 and in 2021 actuals, 21-22 to proposed 425 to where we was at. Probably blame that old Matt Mitchell, I guess. I don't know. I'm kidding. And I'd love to tell you that there's glitz and glamour in the budget, and that we've got a lot of shiny stuff, and but that's just not correct. We are looking at certainly stable. We are certainly stable, but we just need to make sure that we're careful. No new hires, and then if a position in the general fund. If they quit, we really need to evaluate on exactly if that position needs to be refilled or not. And I hate to say that because I know a lot of folks says, well, that's not fair. You know, the water department gets to do this and the gas department gets to do that, but that's the business side of city government. And so that's the budget that I have before you here today. But the good thing is, I think with this pay scale that we have put in, we're going to keep some employees. I think it makes us competitive. Does it make us the top payer in the Upper Cumberland? No, it don't. Is it a long ways from where we was? Yes. Do we still got a ways to go? Yes. But this is the first step, and hopefully we can continue to do the pay scale with the 3% or more if things happen. So that's where we are, and I'll be happy to answer any questions from you here today. Any questions? Joel, you have anything to add? Or?
I just have a couple.
Okay. Before we vote on the budget?
Yes.
Are you, okay, go ahead.
I just want to make everyone aware of an error that I found on our projected column. If you go to page 10, near the bottom, right above the heading water plant is the word depreciation. You'll note in that projected column, there's a blank that should have a pretty big number in it. 735,700 is what I would project safely. There's another one, transfers out, on page 11, just nearly the bottom of the projected column where it says transfers out. That should have a number. That number of 30,000 is an estimate of what the utilities water fund will send to the general fund as revenue to the general fund for in lieu of tax. The gas fund has a little bit also, about 20-some thousand. So that is a big hit, but because of accounting rules, the item right above depreciation is $424,928. Yes, that's a cash item. Depreciation is not a cash item. However, when the water fund buys equipment, you capitalize it and you move it to the balance sheet. Yes, it does count for cash. That's why it's in this line item for budget. The $424,000 ultimately, if that's the dollars spent, would be capitalized, moved to the asset or to the balance sheet. So the net hit, if you look on page 11 again, you've got a change in net assets of $661,712. That number will reduce by approximately $340,000. Still, you're in a positive position. Reminder that the $735,000 is not a cash item, but I want to bring that to your attention.
Any questions for Joel? Joel's our certified municipal finance officer. I know everybody knows that, but for the record, that's who Joel is. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the first reading on the budget, and then we'll set a public hearing.
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Ken Dotson to approve first reading of the budget. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Alderman Bruce Elder. Any discussion? Roll call vote, Ms. Phillips.
Alderman Dale,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dotson,
Yes.
Alderman Linder,
Yes.
Alderman Elder,
Yes.
motion passed.
Motion pass. Now we'll talk to Joel about the amendments. You do that tonight, or? You do that at second reading, don't you? That's right, I'm sorry, go to the second reading. All right. No, you got any business or anything else you need to discuss? Okay. Hearing no other business, we'll need before we do that, Phyllis, when are we meeting on the second reading?
June the 29th.
So June the 29th at 5? Okay, so we'll do have a public hearing at 5 as well. We'll start the second reading probably a little bit late in case anybody wants to come and talk about the budget, okay? So hearing that, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion made by Alderman Rex Dale, second by Alderman Bill Linder. All for the motion, let know by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion passed. We're adjourned.